Hey guys, it's Greg Jones for Engine Builder. We are at the 2023 PRI Show, and I'm joined by Brian Camacho of Kaiju Motorsports. Between us is a 2016 STi Subaru with an EJ 2.5 liter Subaru engine, and it's our Engine of the Week.
Engine Builder's Engine of the Week is sponsored by Pen Grade 1, L-Ring DOS Original, and NPW.
Brian, thanks so much for giving us a little bit of time here. You know, I was telling you, I walked by the car a couple of times throughout the show, and it always stopped me in my tracks. And so I'm excited I get a chance to talk to you and really find out some of the details about this. Before we dive into the Subaru and the Subaru engine, tell us a little bit about Kaiju Motorsports.
So Kaiju Motorsports, we specialize in JDM imports, mainly Subarus. Subarus is our go-to vehicle. That's our heart and soul, you could say. So we really know the Subarus in and out. So we built this car to showcase what we can do as a shop.
Yeah, awesome. Well, like I said, definitely stands out.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's start with the car. What's kind of the background on the 2016 STi?
That car actually came from my office manager. He had bought it brand new. Then it came to a point where he was ready to sell it. And we thought, that's a perfect opportunity to turn it into a shop race car. So we did, custom graphics by Skeppel. Did, the 15-inch slicks by Bellic. And the exterior is pretty simple, but it's got some goodies on it. Varus fender, and we don't have the hood on right now, but a Varus Japan hood as well. Okay. But for the most part, a lot of it focuses on the engine, transmission, drivetrain, suspension.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the stuff that we want to know a little bit more about. Yeah. So now you were telling me that this is the original EJ block. Is that correct?
It's the original. It's still a 2.5 liter that comes in the car. I got you. So, but the block is billet aluminum block.
So, so not the one that came with
Not the one that came with it, but the same version of
the same EJ 2.5. Okay, gotcha. So awesome. So you're rocking a whole billet setup here.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's walk through A to Z. Let's start with some of the machine work that you guys might have had done to it.
So the short block came out of Australia from Crest. And then IAG Performance, they took it, they threw in some Darden sleeves in it, assembled the whole rotating assembly, and then we paired it up with IAG Stage 5 cylinder heads, which they go ahead and CNC pour, do a Ferrero Valvetrain on it, we got BC Stage 3 cams on it, and at what we did at our shop, we took the cylinder block, we took the cylinder heads, assembled the motor. But as far as that, machining wise, that's as much as we did in-house. But IAG Performance took most of the work and really perfected it.
Very good. So Brian, you just told us a little bit about the billet block as well as the cylinder heads. How about some of the components that you got inside? Maybe let's start with the rotating assembly.
So the rotating assembly, since it's done by IAG, they have it all spec'd out. So they have an IAG spec billet crank in there, and then IAG spec rods as well. Their pistons are their spec as well, but they're made by JE. And then they also machine the block for a fire ring. So we have their fire ring technology behind holding the block to the cylinder head with 14mm ARP studs.
Yeah, kind of seems like those are almost a necessity these days once you start getting into the billet stuff,
Yeah, well, especially with the Subarus and head gaskets, we got to work on something there. So.
Absolutely. Now you mentioned the Ferrero Valvetrain. How about some of the other Valvetrain components in there, or any of the cam specs that you might know?
So it is a Ferrero dual valve springs, and they're 1mm oversized valves. It's also to have the GSC bronze valve guides and the BC Stage 3 cams, which are 280 degree duration on those, both intake and exhaust.
Very cool, very cool. All right, now we can't ignore some of the piping work, and you also got a nice turbocharger back here. Talk a little bit about that whole air setup there.
So the turbo kit is it's a twin scroll turbo manifold, made it up to a Garrett G42 1200 compact turbo. And then from there on, we took the car over to Jesse at JDL Auto out of Phoenix, and he killed it with the fabrication. Yeah. He used Hypertune clamps, Tycon titanium piping, and just welded it all up to perfection. He did all our intercooler piping. He took a CSF Magnum intercooler core and made a custom intercooler for it. Modified our cooling system, radiator, the CSF radiator, modified that with the swirl pop setup. So it's, and then it's got a 4-inch turbo back exhaust with a titanium muffler on the back.
Yeah. No, I mean, along with some of the billet stuff, you know, that really makes the engine bay pop. So that's some cool stuff.
I think the titanium is definitely one of the things that make people stop and really pay attention to the car.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we're in the Exity booth. You want to talk a little bit about, you know, what you got in there from them?
Yeah, so I'm actually running their Exity triple disc clutch, which is holding up the power really well on this right now. You know, we're pushing a little over 1,000 horsepower on it, and you know, in the 700s on torque. So this clutch is rated for around 750 torque, and it's holding it well.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And then Brian, lastly, let's just talk a little bit about the application. You know, how do you use the Subaru? Do you race it?
So this was built to showcase all our work, but it's very important for me to perform as well as looking really good. So we do drag race this car. We do plan on taking it to different events and doing some, you know, we're going to do some track racing, but we also want to take it to some no prep events.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, very cool. Any specific like expectations or goals, you know, with that type of stuff?
You know, the goal was 1,000 horsepower with the build, and we hit that expectation. So now, you know, as long as we could get into low 9s with the car, I'd be happy with that. If we break the 8s, amazing. Right. But, you know, I think the goal is 9s.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so Brian, we walked through quite a bit on the car here as well as the engine. Anything else that you want to mention about what's in here?
Yeah, so, you know, a bigger thing, you know, what controls the engine, we went ahead and put a Motec M150 ECU in here, and we also have the Motec C127 dash, so we can see all our data. So we're protecting the engine, you know, and making sure it's making the max power that we can get out of it. So with the Motec data and everything.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, Brian's a hell of an STI and awesome EJ 2.5 liter. So appreciate the time. Thanks for walking us through it. All right, guys, well, that's been this episode of Engine of the Week. Big thanks to Brian here at Kaiju Motorsports. Make sure you're checking out everything that they've got going on. And as always, make sure you're checking out enginebuildermag.com for more great engine content. We'll see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.